The following story is based on the life of Judith Rigaud, a tale of strength and endurance in colonial French Canada. Chapter 1. The Leaving. 6 North 54. The bells of Saint-Jean-d'Angély rang in the spring air, but Judith Rigaud heard them with a heart that already belonged to another shore. Born in that small town of western France, she was the daughter of Élisée Rigaud and Suzanne Dugas, one of several children in a family that knew both hardship and resilience. The stone streets of her childhood were narrow, and the market stalls noisy. But Judith was never one to be satisfied with the narrow roles allotted to women of her station. By the time she reached her late teens, opportunity and danger had begun to intermingle in the whispers of her neighbors. The colony of New France, they said, was desperate for women. Men had crossed in great numbers, hunters and soldiers, fur traders and settlers, but the land was still raw, still unstable. Families were the shield against failure. Without wives, without children, the settlement might collapse. So recruiters spoke to young women like Judith, promising dowries, marriages, and a future that stretched farther than the worn cobles of Saint-Jean-d'Angély. Some girls were frightened by the thought of weeks upon the Atlantic. Others clung to their families, unwilling to cut the thread. Judith, though, felt something stir in her. Perhaps it was courage. Perhaps it was defiance. Perhaps it was simply the knowledge that she had little to lose and everything to gain. The year was 1651 when Judith left France behind. She boarded a vessel bound for Quebec, her belongings gathered into a trunk that held more hope than wealth. The crossing was brutal. Cramped quarters, salted meat turning foul, the sick coughing in the dark. She survived it with a resilience that would define her life. By autumn, Judith stepped onto the soil of New France, a land vast, wild, and strange. She was placed as a domestic servant in the household of Marguerite Legardeur and her husband, Jacques Leneuf de la Poterie, at Trois-Rivières. Judith's hands, once used to weaving and mending, now scrubbed the rough floors of a colonial home. She carried water, stirred stews, patched garments. The settlement was small, perched uneasily between the river and the endless forest, and life was constant toil. Yet Judith endured. Her position was humble, but her eyes were open. She saw the way men in the settlement looked at the young women who had crossed the sea. She understood that to marry was to secure survival, but she also knew she would not be married off like chattel, not without her own say.